$2,400 a year. That is roughly what a veteran sitting on an old VA mortgage is handing back to the bank every 12 months for one reason. Nobody told him there is a refinance built into his own loan that almost no one uses. It is called the IRRRL, and there is one feature on it that quietly erases the only fee it charges for most of the veterans watching right now. Stay with me because almost nobody checks whether they qualify for that erase, and it is worth $1,200 at the closing table.
Hey everyone, Michael here. The plain version is this. The IRRRL lets you swap your current VA mortgage for a new one at a lower rate, and the whole thing is built to be light.
And we are going past the brochure today because the same Streamline that saves one veteran thousands quietly costs another one money. The difference is a single number you can run yourself.
This is Nora, and the part that gets me is the timeline. On a normal refinance, you are buried in documents for weeks. On a Streamline, most files need no new appraisal and no fresh income check.
I'm Nova, and here is the pattern underneath it. The government already guaranteed this loan once, so refinancing it is less like applying for credit and more like renewing a warranty on something it already insured.
Right, and the fee proves it. The funding fee on an IRRRL is half of 1%. On a $250,000 loan, that is $1,250, but here is the catch. You can roll it straight into the loan and pay nothing up front.
And you do not have to take our word for any of this. The VA spells it out on its own page, so let me walk you to the official one so you know exactly where to look.
This is the va.gov interest rate reduction page. The link highlighted there, learn about the VA funding fee and other closing costs, is the one that opens the fee rules, including who pays nothing. And here is the part Nova hinted at. If you draw VA compensation for a service-connected disability, even at the lowest rating, that funding fee is waived entirely, zero. For a huge share of the veterans watching, this refinance has no fee at all.
And that is the cost of not moving. Sit on a rate a point too high and you quietly bleed about $2,400 a year. That is real grocery money every month walking out the door. Keep that number in your head for the next 20 minutes. Nora, before we go further, a question keeps showing up under every refinance video. Take it for us.
Yes, and it is the honest one. People keep asking, is the VA Streamline refinance actually worth it? Or is it just the bank making money off me again?
Great question, and we answer it honestly today, both sides. Coming up, the two refinance doors and why one costs 4 times more, the exact break-even math, and the one stale document that charges an exempt veteran $1,200 by mistake. Let's go.
Before anyone gets excited and calls a lender, you need to know there are two completely different VA refinances, and people mix them up constantly.
And mixing them up is expensive because they cost wildly different amounts and ask for wildly different things. Let me lay the two side by side so you can see them at once.
Door number 1 is the IRRRL. It does exactly one job. It lowers the rate on a VA loan you already have. It cannot hand you cash, and it cannot pay off a loan that is not already a VA loan.
Door number 2 is the cash-out refinance, and that one is a whole different animal on the calendar. It is fully underwritten. You bring an appraisal, your income documents, and a fresh credit pull.
And the fees tell the same story. The Streamline charges 0.5%. The cash-out charges 2.15% on your first use, more than 4 times as much, because you are tapping equity, not just trimming a rate.
And the documentation gap is the part that hits your calendar hardest. A cash-out is treated like a brand new loan, so you are gathering pay stubs, tax returns, and bank statements, then waiting on an appraiser to schedule a visit. That is weeks, sometimes more.
So the cash out is the right door when you genuinely need money in hand, or you want to pull a non-VA mortgage into the VA system. That is real value. It is just a heavier, slower errand for a heavier job.
There is a deeper pattern here too. The size of the fee tracks the size of the risk the VA is taking on. Pulling cash out raises your loan balance, so the guarantee is riskier, so it costs more. A Streamline just shuffles an existing risk to a better rate.
But if all you want is the lower rate, walking through the cash-out door is like renting a moving truck to carry one envelope. You pay 4 times the fee and burn weeks of your life for a job the Streamline does in a fraction of the time.
Nova, take the one people keep raising on this exact split.
Right, the question is simple. If I just want a lower payment and zero cash, why would I ever pick the cash-out refinance over the Streamline?
You would not, and that is the whole point. Same need, wrong door, 4 times the fee. The Streamline exists precisely so you do not overpay for a job this small. Quick honest ask while we are here. If this has been worth your time so far, hit like, then subscribe and ring the bell. I know everyone asks, but this one is free, and it is how a small channel like this actually grows.
Now the part that separates a smart refinance from an expensive one. It is not the rate. It is the break-even, and it is one division problem you can do at your kitchen table.
Let me run you through a real example so the number stops being abstract. Picture a veteran named Dana, a single mom 3 years into a $250,000 VA loan at 7%. Dana refinances down to today's rate, about 5.75%. Watch what the monthly payment does, line by line.
Her old payment was $1,663. The new one is $1,459. That gap is $204 she keeps every single month.
Over a year, $204 a month is roughly $2,450. That is the same number Fenrir put on the table in the opening, now earned in full.
But the refinance is not free. Dana rolls about $5,000 of closing costs into the loan. Now here is the only equation that matters. Take the costs and divide by the monthly savings.
$5,000 of costs, divided by $204 saved a month, is about 25 months. That is her break-even. After roughly 2 years, every dollar of savings is pure keep.
And the VA actually guards this for you. The law says a lender must show you will recoup all your fees within 36 months or the loan does not fly. Dana's 25 is comfortably inside the line.
Which is genuinely rare. The government built a guardrail that stops a bad refinance before you sign it. The recoupment rule is the system protecting you from a deal that only helps the lender.
And notice what is missing from Dana's math. There is no appraisal fee for a surprise low value and no underwriter combing her pay stubs to decide if she still qualifies. The Streamline strips all of that out, which is exactly why the costs stay near $5,000 instead of double that.
The one place people trip is forgetting the costs are rolled in. Dana did not write a $5,000 check. It rode into the loan balance, so her real out-of-pocket at the table was close to nothing. The savings still start the very first month.
So the takeaway is small and powerful. Costs divided by monthly savings is your break-even in months. If that number is short and you are staying in the house, the math is on your side and the VA has already checked it for you. Here is where it gets real, because a lower rate is not always a win. The honest question is whether Dana should refinance at all or just keep the loan she has. Let's pressure test it. Michael thinks the move is obvious money. Nora is not sold because she watches the clock on every one of these. I'm going to sit in the middle and keep them honest.
It is obvious. 25-month break-even, $2,400 a year after that, and she is staying in the house for the kids' school district. Every month she waits is $200 set on fire.
Slow down. You just reset her clock. Dana is 3 years into a 30-year loan. Refinance into a fresh 30, and she is paying for 33 years total on the same house.
Hold on, Nora. Are you saying the lower rate is a mirage?
Not a mirage, a trade. The monthly payment drops, but stretching the term back out can add interest over the life of the loan. The cash flow win can hide a long-term cost.
Then she fixes it in one move. Most lenders will let her refinance into a shorter term, a 20-year or a 15. She keeps the lower rate and refuses the reset. Problem solved.
that I will take. A shorter term is the answer to my objection. But there is a second trap, and it has nothing to do with terms. It is how long she is actually staying.
That is the real fork. If Dana sells in 18 months, she never reaches her 25-month break-even. She pays the costs and moves before the savings catch up, and the refinance loses.
Fair. But notice the trap is not the IRRRL, it is the plan. The Streamline did its job perfectly, it was just the wrong veteran for it because she was about to move. The tool is innocent.
Agreed, and that is why I always ask the move question first, before the rate question. How long are you really staying? Answer that honestly, and the whole decision usually answers itself.
So the panel actually agrees on a clean rule: refinance if two things are both true. Your break-even is well under 36 months, and you are staying in the home longer than that break-even.
And refuse the silent term reset. Take the lower rate on a shorter or matching term, not a brand new 30 just because the lender offers it.
So here is my verdict, and the VA backs the first half of it in writing. The recoupment rule is the floor, the law's own source on what counts as worth it. The smart play for Dana, staying put with a 25-month break-even, is to refinance on a shorter term. For her, the IRRRL wins. There is one mistake on these files that costs an exempt veteran real money, and it is so common we phoned someone who knows the Streamline process cold to walk us through it. Nora found the question this came from, because of course it was about timing.
It was, a viewer wrote in saying he draws VA compensation, but his closing statement still listed a funding fee. Why was an exempt veteran being charged?
So let's bring in our expert on this. Calling them in now.
Happy to help. And that exact line item is the single most missed dollar on an IRRRL. The exemption is real, but it has to actually show up on your paperwork. Here is the mechanism. Your exemption rides on your Certificate of Eligibility, the COE. If that document has not caught up to your current disability rating, the lender's system does not see you as exempt.
So the rating exists, the law exempts you, but the paperwork has not been told yet. The fee shows up because the file is stale, not because you owe it.
Exactly. And on a $250,000 loan, that stale document is $1,250 charged to someone who is legally exempt. It is not a small slip.
And I want to underline the timing because it is everything on this one. The fee gets baked into your closing numbers days before you ever sit down to sign. By then it feels official, like it is just part of the deal.
That is the danger exactly. It looks like a fixed cost on a printed statement, so people assume it is correct and pay it. Most veterans never question a line item on a closing disclosure, and the system counts on that.
So how does a veteran actually fix it before the money is gone? Give us the button to press.
Before you close, you contact the VA Regional Loan Center and have them confirm your exemption so the lender can update the file. Catch it before closing and the fee comes off. Catch it after and you are chasing a refund.
That timing is everything. Before closing it is a correction. After closing it is a months-long refund request. Same dollars, 10 times the friction.
Exactly right. So my one parting thought is this. Read your closing statement line by line, and if you draw compensation, that funding fee line should be a 0. Thanks for having me on This One Matters.
That is gold, and it is the kind of thing nobody hands you in a brochure. Thank you for jumping on the line with us.
Let's pull it together into something you can actually do this week. Everything in this episode is a Rung 8 move on the claim ladder. Rung 8 is extend. The benefits that reach beyond your rating and your VA home loan lives right there with the healthcare and the survivor protections.
And that is the quiet thread under this whole episode. People think their rating is the benefit. The rating is the door. The home loan, the Streamline, the funding fee waiver, those are the rooms behind it that almost nobody walks into.
So here is the path, in order, because on this stuff the order is what keeps you out of trouble. Let me walk it as a checklist you can actually run down the page. Step 1 is the gate, and it stops a lot of people cold. You can only streamline a loan that is already VA backed. If your mortgage is conventional, this door is simply not for you, and that is the cash-out conversation instead.
Step 2 is the reality check. Confirm today's rate is meaningfully below the rate you are sitting on. If the gap is tiny, the math will never work, and you should just keep the loan you have. Step 3 is the math we already did together. Get a couple of quotes, then divide your closing costs by your monthly savings to see your break-even in months. That one number tells you almost everything.
Step 4 is the one Marisol just saved us on, and it is pure money. Before closing, make sure your certificate of eligibility reflects your current rating so your exemption is on the file and that funding fee line reads as a 0.
And step 5 is the trap from our debate. When the lender slides a fresh 30-year term across the table, ask for a shorter or matching term instead. You take the lower rate, and you refuse to restart the clock you already have 3 years into.
Run those 5 in order and the Streamline stops being a mystery and becomes a tool. If today gave you a single rule, make it this one. Divide your costs by your monthly savings, and if that break-even is short and you are staying put, you are leaving money on the table every month you wait. Here is the whole episode in one breath. The IRRRL lowers the rate on a VA loan you already have, almost no paperwork, and a fee that is 0 if you draw compensation.
And tonight you can do this in 5 minutes. Pull up your current rate and today's rate, and if there is real daylight, run your own break-even before bed. That one division is the win you keep.
Next time we stay on rung 8, but here is the curiosity gap. One VA loan benefit most veterans never check for can wipe out a payment entirely. Wait until you see who it covers.
If this saved you a couple thousand a year, hit subscribe because this series is a ladder you do not want to miss. A like tells the algorithm to show it to the next veteran.
Before you go, one for the comments. What interest rate are you sitting on right now, and have you ever actually run your own break-even on it?
This is Fenrir, thanks for watching and signing off.